gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone on the world, welcome back to another video. Today we are here with women who fought empires. Yo, women were getting their get back even before they got their get back. Yo, what the hell?
We're going over stories from history where women fought back against the greatest empires in the world. Number 1, Boudica. In 43 CE, Roman Emperor Claudius ordered a full-scale invasion of the island of Britain. At the time, Britain was a fractured land, ruled by 40 or so tribes, each with their own king. While some of these tribes fought back fiercely against the invading Romans, others struck deals with them to maintain some control of their lands. The Iceni tribe, who inhabited the area that's now present-day Norfolk, rebelled against the Romans in 47 CE, and though they ultimately lost the war, they managed to regain some of their independence under the conditions they were to be ruled by a Roman-aligned king. This king, named Prasutagus, pledged his allegiance to the empire under the condition that following his death, his tribal lands would go to both his daughters and the Roman emperor. The Romans agreed to terms, and he was granted the freedom to rule his people as he saw fit. Sucks the Romans are here to stay, but at least his people are free and his children would remain in power. Nice. But in 61 CE, Prasutagus dies, and the Romans decide the deal they had died with him. They immediately seized Iceni lands and confiscated the royal family's wealth and property. Boudica, Prasutagus' widow, goes to protest, but instead of negotiating, the Romans stripped the queen bare and whipped her in front of her people. Her young
in front of the children too? Oh, nah. Oh, nah, she about to go crazy on y'all bitches, bro.
Daughters were then R-worded by Roman soldiers. Boudica and her daughters are left broken, betrayed, and humiliated with no kingdom to rule. But as the Romans head back to their provincial capital, Iceni nobles and soldiers step forward and one by one begin to pledge their loyalty to their queen. Peasants, farmers, even freed slaves take up their tools and rally around Boudica. They cannot stand the injustice any longer. This is their land, and they're ready to fight to get it back.
Perfect rebellion. Rebelling. Or just revenge, alright? Fucking kill them all.
Or die trying. Thirsty for vengeance, Boudica looks out at her loyal subjects and vows to free them from the Romans once and for all. She gathers her Iceni army and travels to the land of the Trinovantes.
Where they got all the swords? They just have swords like that? I'm guessing everyone just had swords back then. Okay, that's what I'm guessing.
Once the most powerful tribe in all of Britain, they'd suffered the most humiliation at the hands of the Romans, who, after defeating them, built their capital city, Camulodunum, now modern-day Colchester, on their sacred lands. Upon hearing her mission, they immediately join Boudica's army, and together they sack Camulodunum. The Romans are caught completely off guard, and the Britons quickly overwhelm the small number of defenders stationed there. They begin massacring everyone they see. A few Roman soldiers rush townspeople into the temple of Claudius and barricade themselves in. After a few days of trying to get them to come out, Boudica orders her soldiers to set the building on fire and burn everyone inside alive, and Camulodunum is burned to the ground.
She said, fuck all of this. You know what? I don't even want the damn place. Kill them all. That's my woman right there. That's my woman that I'll vote if she ever became president.
Word of Boudica's rebellion spreads through Britain, more Celtic tribes rush to join her cause, and her ever-growing army marches to Londinium, now modern-day London. The governor sees Boudica's massive army approaching and freaks out. He takes his best soldiers as bodyguards and runs away. When the Britons reach the city,
Bro did not want no smoke. Bro saw army and one woman and was like, nope. Nope, she had too much to drink. I'm out.
March in unopposed and begin to slaughter every Roman they see. No one is spared. Roman women in particular are mutilated as offerings to the Celtic goddess of war, Andraste. The Britons' destruction of Londinium was so complete that archaeologists today still find a thick layer of burnt debris beneath London's streets. Sensing the opportunity to reclaim their native lands, even more tribes rush to join Boudica's army, and they march to Verulamium, a city filled with wealthy Britons who would eagerly embrace Roman culture. In Boudica's eyes, these traitors were worse than the Romans themselves. As the tribal army approached the town, many residents began to run into the countryside, but Boudica issues orders to hunt them all down.
Wait. You just started killing folks just because they want to or not because they wanted to, but well, they wanted to live, but because they endured the culture, you just killed them. Okay, maybe they just did that because they didn't want to fucking die. Maybe they just wanted to live, you know? Maybe the empire would have killed them, or the ruler, or whatever the fucking guy, the king.
Every citizen in the town is killed, and all buildings are burned to the ground. By this time, Boudica's fame has grown, and so has her army, to over 200,000 people, and they'd killed an estimated
200,000 people? Yo, she has her own country right there. That's literally her own country right there, bro. What are you talking? She has 200,000 people, bro.
80,000 Romans and Roman supporters on their march across the island. Against all odds, this ragtag alliance of Celtic tribes finds themselves on the brink of defeating the most powerful empire in the world. Realizing the next battle may very well be the decisive blow, the Britons bring their families with them in their march. They want everyone to be there in person when they finally regain their freedom from the Romans.
Yo, wait, that's hard as fuck. Bringing your kids and your wife to war and be like, hey, you're gonna watch me kill this motherfucker. Alright? Yo, we're about to get our freedom.
To Boudica, her army was about to meet its greatest challenge yet.
Oh shit,
See,
who's that?
The Roman governor of Britain was this guy named Paulinus. He was a skilled tactician who was infamous for his brutality, making him the perfect pick to put down rebellions in the newly acquired territory. When Boudica had begun her revenge tour, Paulinus was busy fighting the Welsh, who were also resisting Roman rule. But now he's back. He has just 5,000 men with him and sends out a distress call across Britain for all Roman soldiers, no matter the age, to report to him. And he manages to scrape together an army of 10,000 men.
Only?
Even with the added men, he was still outnumbered almost 20 to 1. And in most cases, this should have been a story of the heroic last stand of the Romans on Britain. But Paulinus was about to show the Britons the true might of a professional Roman army.
Oh
Boudica and her
shit.
massive army.
Oh shit. So we're about to have so they don't have no plan. They're just going straight in it and just fighting, just killing who's ever in their way. The Romans though, they got brain. Alright?
They are marching along a road called Watling Street, and Paulinus positions his men in an area where the path narrows and is surrounded by forests on both sides. This strategic location prevents
That's a strategy, bro. You're literally forcing them to go straight. They have to go straight, or
prevented the Britons from flanking his men and forced them to engage head-on against the Roman army. The families of the Britons parked their wagons behind the army, doing their best to get a good view of the final battle to come. Boudica rides in her chariot and gives a speech to her men. Though they're ill-equipped, they outnumber the Romans and they've beaten them 3 times so far. So now is the time to reclaim their land and their freedom.
Give it all.
The Britons erupt into war cries and
you gotta give it your all. She was like, give it your all, or no cheesecake for none of y'all. I don't know if they like cheesecake.
charge towards the Romans. Paulinus orders his men to hold as the ground shakes beneath them. The Romans silently
some
watch
earthquake
this
type
horde of
shit.
Screaming tribesmen get closer and closer as they wait for their commands. After what feels like an eternity, Paulinus finally shouts his orders, Pila! And in unison, the Roman soldiers coil themselves and launch into the air thousands of heavy javelins towards the Britons. The Britons,
like Sparta, put the shields up, just like Sparta. Come on.
Are wearing barely any armor, and the javelins rip through the men leading the charge.
Damn.
The surviving tribesmen continue their charge, and Paulinus orders another volley of javelins taking out
they're
even
cooked.
more Britons. Paulinus then orders his men to advance. Shields deployed, the Romans march in a tight formation, their short swords designed for this exact scenario. As they close in, the Britons find their longswords are useless in close combat, and they quickly begin to fall to the Roman gladius. Cavalry is called in by both Boudica and Paulinus.
The techniques. It doesn't matter if you have so many people. It's always about the technique. Remember that, guys. Damn.
Intense fighting rages on for hours. Paulinus expertly rotates his troops, keeping the front lines fresh, while more and more of the best Celtic warriors fall. Boudica's men begin to realize they are no match for this professional army and begin to panic. The panic sweeps through the Briton army, and soon they begin to retreat.
No.
As they run from the battlefield, they realize their escape has been completely blocked by their families and their wagons who came to watch the battle. They're all trapped and can do nothing but watch the Romans advance towards them. The Romans return the favor of their fallen cities to the Britons and begin to slaughter not just the soldiers, but also their families who had gathered to watch the final battle. According
Fuck.
to Roman historian Tacitus, Boudica refuses to be captured and drinks poison, dying on the battlefield. The Britons are defeated at Watling Street, not
She didn't want to be captured. She didn't want to be a slave to these bitches.
knowing just how close they were to regaining their independence. Back in Rome, Emperor Nero had been seriously considering pulling all Romans out of Britain entirely due to Boudica's revolt. Instead, after her defeat, the Romans controlled Britain for another 350 years. Number 2, the Trung sisters.
350 years is wild. Damn. Alright, the Turning Sisters. Holy shit. Damn. They could have deadass stopped the Romans back then. If that guy wasn't born. If that guy wasn't smart. Bro, if that guy still was fighting the war, Buddha would have won, bro.
It's the turn of the 1st century, and the Han Chinese have conquered and controlled the area now known as Vietnam for around 100 years. For most of this time, the Han had left the native Lac Viet people alone and let them continue their tribal way of life in exchange for some taxes here and there. But things begin to change when the Han dynasty is temporarily overthrown by a guy named Wang Mang, who sets up the incredibly short-lived Xin dynasty. The Han eventually got control back, but this brief civil war wrecked the empire's treasury, and to refill it, the new Han emperor began increasing taxes across his entire land. This hit the people in Vietnam hard, but even worse, to prevent future rebellions, the Han pushed for sinification throughout its lands, specifically spreading the ideas of Confucianism, which pushed hierarchy and male dominance. Confucianism
What?
went completely against the culture of the Lac Viet people, who believed that women were just as, if not more capable than men. And this destruction of their culture, combined with heavy taxes on fishing and salt, made many clan leaders in the area begin to revolt. The
Yeah.
Han sent a new governor to Vietnam to stabilize the area named Su Ding, and he was a giant asshole and raised taxes even more on the local people.
What the
A
fuck?
local clan ruler named T Soc and his wife Trung Trak began to organize protests and rebellions against the Han Chinese,
Yeah.
and this made Su Ding very upset. He decided to make an example of T Soc and has him arrested and executed, and his head was displayed on the city walls. Su Ding's message was
Oh,
clear:
nah, you're cooked.
if you like living, don't mess with the Han. But rather than make the Lac Viet cower into obedience, this execution had the complete opposite effect.
She got the
Trung
demons in
Trak
her.
boiled in rage over the killing of her husband, and together with her sister Trung Ni, began to organize the clans together
Two sisters about to lock in and defeat this fucker? Oh, hell yeah.
to build a coalition to strike back at the Chinese.
They got elephants? Oh shit, I forgot they had elephants back then. Holy shit, I forgot they used to crush people with elephants. Holy shit.
And drive them out for good. Unknown to Su Ding, the Trung sisters were actually the daughters of a local lord, and because of their wealth, they were schooled not only in the normal things rich kids at the time learned, but also
Oh,
were taught
shit.
martial arts, weapons fighting, and military strategy.
Yo, these women were ready for war. They were just ready for war. They just needed a reason to use them skills. Oh my god.
Their resistance army quickly began to grow, with many of the commanders being women who had also lost their husbands to Su Ding's executions. They trained
Trained
local
them.
peasants in the art of war, and they even got their
I saw the grandma. Yo, no. Bring the grandma here is wild. No. That's actually wild. She got the fucking.
mom to fight with them, and
She got the roller. She got the roller on her. She got the roller and the stick, bro. She got two weapons. If you really think
commanded
about
her
it.
own troop of soldiers. In the spring of 40 CE, the Trung sisters mounted war elephants and, taking their place on the front lines, marched their army against a local Han garrison. Hey, check this out. Women? Uh-oh. The Trung sisters and their army
Women. That's literally how it was. They said, women. And it just proceeds to die.
quickly overwhelm the defenders and slaughter every Chinese
Yeah.
soldier they can find. Su
Granny
Ding caught
gained it. Granny gained it
word
with
that
that
a
roller.
bunch of women took over a local fort and thinks it's hilarious. But he wasn't laughing for long, as the Trung sisters and their army quickly captured
Yeah.
65 Chinese strongholds in the area, and he was forced to disguise himself and flee back to China. With the Han essentially
My boy went bald. My boy. Wait, did he use his bald hair to
in
make
the
a
area, and
mustache?
he was forced to disguise himself and
Oh my god.
flee back to China. With the Han essentially driven out of their lands, Trung Trak becomes the ruler of her combined people, and her first act was to abolish all Han-imposed taxes and cultural reformations. She ruled with her sister for 2 years, and the Viet Loc people celebrated peace and the return of their culture and way of life.
Nice.
But the Han Emperor was not ready to give up territory to these rebels so easily, and he selects a legendary general to reclaim his territory.
Oh,
a man so
shit.
powerful that it's said he's able to calm even the
Maya.
waves of the sea. Preparations are made, and in 42 CE, General Ma Yuan arrives with his troops in Vietnam.
Oh,
the sisters
nah.
once again assemble their army and
Yeah.
mount their war elephants
Get
and
the
confront
elephants.
this new Chinese invasion. But unlike the soldiers stationed in the provincial strongholds, these 20,000 men were professional soldiers and commanded by a skilled leader. The armies clash and the fighting is fierce, but the superior tactics of Ma Yuan hand the Trung sisters their first loss, and they're soon forced to retreat. Over the following months, the sisters and their supporters continue to fight back against Ma Yuan, but in every engagement, they lose more fighters and are pushed deeper into the
Fuck.
Red River Delta. Some local clans begin to see the tides of war shifting and defect to the Han Chinese army to spare themselves. The Trung sisters realize they must force a final decisive battle,
Yo,
and this
get
comes to a
Granny.
head at Ko Loa, near modern-day Hanoi. The sisters again lead the charge, and their army fights bravely. But by this time, they are
It's
outmatched
over.
and now
It's over.
horribly outnumbered. The Han soldiers are merciless.
Where's the
and soon the
elephants?
sisters realize all hope is lost. They walk into a nearby river and are swept away by the rapids. They choose to drown rather than be captured by the Han. Ma Yuan goes on to crush the remaining Lac Viet resistance forces, and slowly over time,
Damn.
the native culture was replaced by Chinese and Confucian ideals. But despite Chinese rule, the story of the Trung sisters lived on and inspired women in future generations to take up arms against the Chinese. Shrines and altars dedicated to the sisters and their bravery begin to appear throughout the country, and when the Vietnamese finally regained their independence from the Chinese in 938, offerings were made to statues of the Trung sisters across the nation. Even today in modern times, the Trung sisters are celebrated as national heroes who embodied the Vietnamese spirit and identity.
Nice. Number
Cheng
three.
Yi Sao.
Yo, bro, it's always the guys with the bigger brains, bro. Why? Why? Come on, bro.
Okay,
It's all
this
about
last
strategy.
story,
It's all-
unlike the other two, is much more modern.
One of these women have to have enough brain to make strategy. All right, please. I know women didn't have that much education back then, but there's gotta be at least one girl that has enough to know what to do in strategy situations.
Which to me actually makes it even crazier. In 1801, a man named Cheng Yi had become one of the most powerful pirates in the South China Seas. After a long week of looting merchant ships, he makes a stop at a floating flower ship near Canton, and upon entering sees the most beautiful woman he had ever seen working at this fine establishment. Being a pirate and all, he kidnaps her and takes her back to his ship.
Oh, okay.
He tells this woman that she'll be marrying him now, and surprisingly, she shows that she isn't just beautiful, she's also smart and has
Oh.
dreams and ambitions of her own.
Oh.
She agrees to marry him under one condition. Cheng Yi will make her co-captain and they'll control this powerful pirate confederacy together.
Oh,
Cheng
shit.
Yi is like, say less. And so this woman
Yo, she said, "All right, if I'm gonna marry you, let me be part of the action too." That's what she that said. She just said, "I want to be part of the war too. I want to be part of whatever you're looting, whatever you're taking. I want to be part of it." All right, badass.
and now known as Cheng Yi Sao, literally Cheng Yi's wife, begins managing the finances for the pirate crew and begins to help Cheng Yi with strategy and decision making.
Nice.
A true pirate
Yo, this was this is what I was talking about. We need a dumb guy and a smart girl. Perfect.
power couple. Now,
W power couple.
unsurprisingly, being married to a pirate wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, as one day
Well.
Cheng Yi brings home the 15-year-old son of a fisherman he just robbed.
What?
You see, Cheng Yi kind of played for both teams, if you know what I mean, and he thought this boy, whose name was
Wow.
Shang Bao, was also super hot. So he quote-unquote adopts him, and they begin to have a romantic relationship, and he begins to train him in all of his pirating ways. Things kept going great for Cheng Yi, and after helping the victorious side in a war in Vietnam, he unifies a confederation of pirates in 1805. His fleet is now as powerful as any nation in the area, and he essentially becomes a pirate king, personally commanding the Red Flag Fleet, the strongest fleet in his pirate alliance. But just a few short years later, in 1807, Cheng Yi dies, reportedly
shit.
falling off of his ship in a storm and drowning. And this
Nah, someone killed him, bro.
leaves a power vacuum amongst the captains in the Pirate Confederation.
What about the girl?
And in this time of uncertainty, Cheng Yi Sao makes her move.
Yeah,
She
what about the
reveals
girl?
that she has the support of Cheng Yi's adopted son, Zhang Bao, who has
Yeah.
assumed control of the Red Flag Fleet. And guess what? Now she's his lover.
Oh.
Well, I guess you can't argue with that. And with that,
Wait, but I thought the guy was gay. Huh? Wait, so wait. So the 15-year-old, well, the was 15-year-old was also worked both ways. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Cheng Yi Sao assumes control of the Pirate
I
Confederation.
didn't even know pirates worked like that back then. What the hell? I didn't even know that.
Just a quick note here.
Anyways,
Well, I guess you can't argue with that. And with that, Cheng Yi Sao assumes control of the Pirate Confederation.
once again, she after her husband died, she went with another guy that was with her husband just to take the
Just a quick note here. At her peak, Cheng Yi Sao commanded around 70,000 pirates. For context, more famous Western pirates like Blackbeard had 400 or so men. The biggest crews like
Blackbeard only had 400.
those of Black Bart had maybe 3,000 men under his command. So it's
I
safe
have no idea who Black Bart is.
to say Cheng Yi Sao commanded the largest pirate fleet in the history of
Yo,
the world.
No, that's wild.
Anyways, she quickly institutes strict rules on all pirates under her command.
Okay.
80% of all loot acquired by any pirate in the Confederation was to be submitted to a treasury. Sexual mistreatment of women prisoners was punished by death.
Oh, okay,
If you married
okay,
a woman
reasonable,
prisoner,
reasonable.
you could never be unfaithful or you would be killed. And
Okay.
if you harassed any coastal villager in a town that assisted them, you'd be quickly swimming with the fishes.
Okay.
Through these strict rules, Cheng Yi Sao instilled fear into the pirates under her command, but they stayed because she also made them all very rich. Her pirates looted coastal fishing and trading towns and boarded ships sailing through her waters demanding protection money. Eventually, Cheng Yi Sao realized she could increase profits and cut costs by simply setting up pirate offices in each trading port.
Oh,
Merchants
shit.
could stop by these pirate offices and buy a pass that allowed them to pass through her waters untouched. Merchants soon realized this was the most cost-effective way to do business, so Cheng Yi
Nice.
Sao's treasury was soon loaded.
She got her she became a billionaire, bro. Essentially, she got her own bro. She got the national waters. She's like fucking TSI, bro. She's the fucking airport for the ocean, bro. She's like, if you want to cross, you gotta get me $10. Fucking the border, fucking $10 to enter.
to the gills. But by 1808, the Qing dynasty realized that this pirate confederacy was a huge threat to trade and security, and so they launched a massive campaign to take Cheng Yi Sao out. On their first attempt, the Qing sent 35 warships, which
Damn.
were all quickly destroyed by the Red Flag Fleet. They
Nice.
sent more ships, and those were also destroyed. And in just a few
can't
months,
beat 'em.
Cheng Yi Sao had taken out half of the entire Qing navy. In
Damn.
retaliation, Cheng Yi Sao ramps up her pillaging along the coast and even begins to challenge Western warships in
Damn.
defiance. At this point, the Qing do the unthinkable. They ask the Europeans for help.
Oh shit.
And so in November of 1809, Cheng Yi Sao finds herself trapped in Tongchong Bay with a combined coalition of Qing and Portuguese ships blocking her exit.
Oh, shit.
She sends for help, and Zhang Bao comes to her aid, but he soon finds himself trapped as well. The two sides attempt to attack each other, but battles end in stalemates. The pirates manage to capture one Chinese ship and slaughter the 74 men aboard. The
Okay.
Chinese commander grows impatient and begins setting some of his smaller ships on fire and sailing them like primitive naval drone strikes at
What
Cheng Yi
the
Sao's fleet.
fuck?
But her men manage to guide the flaming ships to the shore.
Nice.
Suddenly, the winds shift, and two of the fire ships begin floating back towards the blockade.
Hell
and they end up
yeah.
setting two of the Chinese Navy ships on fire. Cheng Yi Sao and
Yo.
Zhang Bao take
Bro, her luck, bro. She got too much luck on her
this
side.
opportunity and sail out of the bay, losing no ships and just a handful of men. At
What? Yo, nah, she got that plot armor.
this point, Cheng Yi Sao realized that she may have hit her peak as a pirate.
Yeah,
she now
she-
faced
it's
pressure
peak.
not only from the Qing, but also from the increasing European presence in
Yeah,
the area.
yeah, that's a little too
Everything
much.
she had worked to acquire may soon be taken away, and she and her men may soon find themselves at the bottom of the ocean if things didn't change. So Cheng Yi Sao does something that almost no powerful human ever does. She decides to retire at the top of her game. On April 17, 1810, she personally walks into the Governor General's office in Canton, leading 17 women and children, and demanded negotiations. She'll surrender most of her ships and weapons in exchange for a full pardon for her and her men, and Zhang Bao, now her second husband, would be made an officer in the Qing Navy.
Oh, shit!
And she has to also be able to keep all the money she made as a pirate.
I mean,
The Qing government by this time is so desperate to not have to deal with her anymore, they take the deal, and her
they said, you know what? Keep your fucking money. We don't want that shit. As long as our economy is fine, keep your goddamn money. They said, we don't want to deal with your ass anymore.
husband Zhang Bao is made a lieutenant. Chang Yisao goes on to open and run successful gambling houses in Canton and Macau and lives out the rest of her life
Damn.
peacefully until passing away at the age of 69. And you know,
Why couldn't it be 70? Anyways, yo, she lived 69? Yo, people were not living that long back then.
what? I don't know what's more impressive. The fact that she successfully retired from a career as a pirate and died of old age, or the fact that we'll never know her real name. Today, we're
Okay, hold on. We don't know her name. She died at 69, bro. How do you live that long, bro? Because back then, they did not have that much good treatment for health. So, dear God, that's impressive. That is impressive. If you guys enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.